Good afternoon, everybody. I am the Cynic. Well, I've got to admit, I didn't see this one coming. I've always thought the coming divide between MGTOW would be between the quote-unquote real MGTOW versus the quote-unquote not real MGTOW. However, that was going to be judged by. As it turns out, it's between the perceived intellectuals versus the perceived entertainers. As I'm sure most of you know, Stardusk has taken a, disappointingly, passive-aggressive pot-shot video against Sandman and declared the MGTOW movement is becoming stagnant in terms of intellectual growth. Colonel Absconder has also thrown his hat into the ring on this one as well in his The Trouble with Sandman and the MGTOW Growth Sector video. As I expected, more talk about how the MGTOW sector of the manosphere has become stagnant and even dilapidated a little due to the capitalization on videos via PayPal donations for Sandman to make entertainment videos with more, by comparison, that's important, by comparison, shallow points like mother-in-laws and church ladies made as opposed to Stardusk and Barbarossa's videos which hold deeper points in terms of evolutionary psychology, evolution, economics, and past, present, and future sociology. In foresight, this is not in my channel's best interest to make this video, as I am not involved in this dispute. However, there are a few things I'd like to express. First off, Stardusk, you disappoint me with your passive-aggressive shaming tactic. Valid in less ways than invalid though it may be, at least have the balls to call out the guy you're criticizing instead of taking pot shots and using plausible deniability like some office gossip whore. Speaking honestly, this made me a bit sick, though it did humanize you from my view of you being an unfallible intellectual elitist, so I suppose it was my inflated perception of you I have to blame for that. Secondly, I'll concede that the new wave of MGTOW aren't as innovative as you and Barbarossa. Many of us have gone more the imitative route in this discussion, speaking of anecdotes, initial perceptions, and shallow observations. I'm just as guilty of this, so for anyone thinking this video is going to be in complete defense of Sandman, who I do hold in high esteem, and criticism of Stardusk, sorry to disappoint. The latter does have a point in terms of intellectual idealism. Painful though it may be for me to say, I like Sandman and all, but going into the greater detail and length about the deeper whys and hows of the past, present, and future state of affairs for the genders and society as a whole aren't what Sandman's videos are about. And you know what? That's okay. Calling a spade here, Stardusk wants the proverbial MGTOW bigwigs to be comprised of more of people who purport ideas of intellectual expansion and growth, men and a few women who want to have deeper philosophical understanding of the human psyche as well as history and theories like Briffelt's law and hypergamy, in essence, intellectual elitism. Sandman, for all his popularity, isn't that. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure he could expand into these arenas if he put his time and effort into it, but as for right now, he doesn't. Sandman is more prone to the moderate and casual aspects, like most of us, of the intellectual side of MGTOW rather than the extreme, and that, more or less, is what's giving Stardusk and Colonel Absconder grief. They see it as the lowest common denominator coming into the inevitable play and elevating the entertainment aspect of MGTOW over the intellectual aspects. I can understand their fear, honestly. Trying to build something up as an intellectually stimulating idea that attracts other people of deeper thought to come and share, discuss, and debate, where theories are played around with, preconceived notions are challenged, and learning is the prime directive. All of that to be discarded for the, while still above average intelligence, relatively harmless and casual observations. Something that does provoke thought and acknowledgement, but still nothing groundbreaking or new. And because I know I'll get called out on it, I'll say it here. I don't pretend that the content on my channel is groundbreaking or that I am an intellectual. I'm merely pointing out my opinions and observations on the matter. So to conclude, I'll say this. There's no stopping more entertainment-based following to occur in any movement. If said movement phenomena group gains enough support, people who have their own perspectives and ideas to share will share them, regardless of its level of thoughtfulness and depth. If your fear is that MGTOW is becoming disinterested with learning and growing our perspectives, I'd be hard-pressed to say your fears are legitimate. Colonel Absconder asked in his video about Sandman, "Is this the best we can do?" To which I ask another question. What is the harm? If his thought is that people will come to see Sandman as the end-all be-all of MGTOW, then I'm just as disappointed in him as well. Fact of the matter is, Stardusk is on a higher intellectual level than most people, and as unfortunate as it may be, it will be very difficult for those not on or above his level to inspire him. Though while this little spat may be aimed at Sandman, there's another issue he's taking, one that most of us has noticed as well. That all of us have noticed as well. MGTOW is becoming more and more about men who are just complaining about women. And I'm pretty sure Sandman is just receiving the full-on frustration that Stardusk and Colonel Absconder have gained from that. I'll concede this point as it is legitimate also. As I've said, most likely his primary gripe with the movement, and one I can wholeheartedly agree with, though that video has been made a million times already, so I'll spare and end the video here. I am the Cynic, everybody. Have a nice day.